My mother called me a liar from birth, all because of her belief in scientific parenting. From the day my twin sister Mina and I were born, she fastened honesty bracelets to our wrists.
Lie.
And it flashed red, triggering an electric shock from Mom's remote. Mina's bracelet always stayed green, even when she tore Mom's dress and blamed the cat. It glowed gently.
But me.
If I whispered, "Mom, I'm hungry," it turned furious red and pain shot through my arm. At first I argued. Mom said, "The machine doesn't lie. The pain will help you remember." After thousands of shocks, I believed it. I was born a liar. On New Year's Eve, as Mom prepared to take Mina to see fireworks, searing pain tore through my stomach. I collapsed, gasping, "Mom, my stomach, it hurts so much."
Help me.
But my bracelet flashed frantic red. Mom looked down at me, my hair wet with cold sweat, and turned the remote to its highest setting. "You'd fake being sick just to see the fireworks,"
she said.
Disappointed. "You never learn." She walked out with Mina, the door slamming behind them. I thought, Mom must be right. The bracelet is red, so I can't really be in pain. I must be lying for attention.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Next time I'll try to be honest. It hurts. My body convulsed with pain, my fingernails scratching white lines into the hardwood floor. The doorknob turned. A spark of hope ignited in my chest. Mom was back. She's a doctor. She must have realized something was wrong. She came back to save me. "Are you done with your tantrum? The fireworks are about to start and Mina's getting impatient." "Mom," I whispered, my voice barely audible, stretching a trembling hand toward the door. "It really hurts. It feels like my insides are tearing apart." She glanced at the frantic red light on my wrist. She knelt, her fingers digging into my chin, forcing my head up. Her voice was laced with fury. "Audrey, when are you going to stop this act? You're pathologically incapable of telling the truth. You can stay in here and think about what you've done." Dad called from the entryway. "Honey, let's go. The show is starting." "If Audrey doesn't want to come, she doesn't have to. Should we leave her some dinner?" Mom stood up, brushing her hands together as if she'd touched something filthy. "Leave her dinner for what? There's a whole stash of junk food in her closet. She bought it with the money she stole last week. She won't starve. Lock the door. She can come out when that bracelet turns green." But Dad hesitated. "But what?" "Spare the rod.
Spoil the child."
Look at Mina, so honest. Her bracelet is always green. Audrey is rotten to the core. She needs to be corrected." But my closet was empty. Mina was the one who took the money. Mina was the one who ate the snacks. She had just stood there, her bracelet glowing a soft, innocent green, and said it wasn't me. And Mom believed her when I tried to say. I didn't take it either. The red light flared, and the electricity came. I watched Mom turn to leave. Mina peeked through the crack in the door and made a face at me. Bye, Audrey. We're off to see the pretty fireworks." Her bracelet, a steady verdant green. It was beautiful. Thump. The door slammed shut. I heard the deadbolt slide into place. The house fell silent. It was just me and the saw blade working its way through my gut. It hurts so much. But Mom was right. The machine doesn't lie. The bracelet is red, so I must be lying. I'm not in pain. I'm really, truly not in pain. Tears streamed down my face as I tried to hypnotize myself. I don't know how long passed, but the pain actually seemed to fade. With the last ounce of my strength, I crawled toward my desk. I had to write an apology. That was the rule. Whenever the red light came on, I had to write "I am a liar" 500 times. If I finished, maybe Mom would forgive me. Maybe she'd take me to the hospital. My hand shook as I opened the crumpled, worn-out notebook. It was already filled page after page with my previous apologies. Usually I wrote, "I'm sorry I was wrong. I won't lie
anymore."
But this time I wanted to write the truth. My vision blurred. Crying, I used the last of my energy to scroll. "Mom, I really do love you. It hurts so much. Why won't you just believe me? Please, Mom, just believe me this one time." As I finished the last word, the agony in my stomach suddenly vanished. In its place was a lightness I never felt before. My body felt weightless. I was floating. I looked down and saw myself slumped over the desk, one arm hanging limply in the air, motionless. The bracelet on my wrist was still flashing a frantic, desperate red. So I was dead, but I still hadn't learned how to be an honest girl.
"I'm sorry, Mom."
I was awakened by the sound of laughter. It was Mom, Dad, Mina. The fireworks were beautiful tonight, especially that one shaped like a smiley face.
"Just as cute as my."
Mom's voice held a tenderness I had never heard directed at me. I floated in midair, watching as the front door opened. Even as a spirit, my first instinct was to drift toward them, to help them with their slippers,
as I always did.
It was a survival instinct, A deeply ingrained need to please mom. I opened my arms, wanting to hug the woman who brought the winter chill in with her. I'm not in pain anymore. I'll be good from now on. Please don't be mad. But my hands passed right through her body like smoke. Mom shivered, frowning. Why is it so chilly in here? Is the heat off? I froze, staring at my translucent hands.
Right?
I was dead. The dead can't hug the living. We should probably check on Audrey. Dad mentioned casually he didn't come out for dinner. I hope she's not too hungry.
My dad, he still cared.
I looked at Mom expectantly. If she found out I was dead, would she be sad? Would she feel any regret? Mom just scoffed, slipping on her house shoes and striding toward my room. Let her starve. It's what she deserves. That nasty habit of faking sickness for attention. It's because we've been too soft on her. She shoved my door open. She didn't turn on the light. In the dim glow from the living room, she could see me slumped over the desk, motionless as if I were asleep. Well, look at you, Mom said, crossing her arms, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You think if you pretend to be pitiful, I'll carry you to bed. You're 10 years old, Audrey.
Not 5.
I floated beside my own body, screaming silently, Mom. I'm not pretending I'm dead.
Just look at me.
Touch me. My body is cold. But she couldn't hear me.
She only believed what she could see.
Mina squeezed past her, holding up her wrist triumphantly. Audrey is a lazybones.
See?
My bracelet is green and hers is still red. She's even lying in her dreams. Mom stroked Mina's hair. That's because you're my good girl. Don't pay any attention to the liar. Let her sleep it off. She can stay there all night for all I care. Dad peeked in from behind her. Maybe we should put her to bed. It's cold tonight.
Put her to bed.
Mom snapped. Absolutely not. Kids today are spoiled rotten. The parenting experts say you have to use the cold shoulder method in these situations. She has to realize her own mistake. Look at that red light. It means her psychological state is still extremely defiant. She hasn't reflected on her actions at all. That's enough. Let's go to bed. We have to go to your grandma's tomorrow for New Year's Day. Mom turned on her heel, pulling the door closed behind her. Click, the lock engaged. I floated beside my corpse, watching that single point of crimson light in the darkness. The despair in my soul was colder than death itself. Mom, if you had just taken one more step, if you had just touched my hand, you would have known I was already cold. But you didn't. You only trust that cold machine, not the daughter you carried for 9 months. Late that night, a mouse scurried out from my empty closet. I used to be terrified of mice. I would scream every time I saw one. But now I could only float at the ceiling, watching as it scurried brazenly across my corpse. Go away. I tried to say, but no sound came out. The mouse gnawed at my toe, drawing a single bead of purplish black blood. I couldn't feel it anymore. That was nice. Finally, no more pain. I whispered to the pathetic shell below me. Don't be scared. You can't feel a thing anymore. It'll all be over soon. The next morning, the winter sun streamed through my window, but it brought no warmth to my corpse. The clatter of pots and pans echoed from the kitchen. Mom was making breakfast. The smell of frying eggs wafted under my door. Normally, it was the most tantalizing smell in the world, but I was only allowed to eat boiled vegetables. Because Mom said liars didn't deserve to eat meat. Today, she was deliberately banging the spatula against the pan. I knew she was trying to tempt me. She wanted the smell to drive me crazy, to make me crawl out of my room and beg for forgiveness. The old me might have done it. For a single fried egg, I would have confessed to crimes I never committed. But now I didn't need to eat anymore. Audrey still hasn't come out. Dad asked, reading the newspaper at the dining table.
Nope.
Stubborn as a mule, Mom said, slamming a plate down on the table. She's spoiled rotten. If she wants to eat, she'll eat. If not, she can starve.
Mina.
Sipping her milk, let her eyes dart around. She deliberately ran to my bedroom door and took a loud, exaggerated sniff. Then she shrieked, Mommy, Audrey's room stinks. She go to the bathroom in there. I floated by the door watching my sister with a bitter ache. The heat was on so high in just one night. I had started to smell Mom was going to hate me even more.
Now.
Mom marched over, her brow furrowed in disgust. Audrey, she yelled, pounding on the, are you a pig? The bathroom is right next door. Are your legs broken? You actually soiled your own room. You are hopeless. You'd rather live in your own filth than admit you were wrong. I remembered when I was little, I had a bad stomach flu once and didn't make it to the toilet in time. Not only did Mom not help me clean up, she made me stand in the yard as a punishment for everyone to see. She pointed at me and told the neighbors, look at this one, dirty as a little pig. And now she thought I was dirty again. Forget her. Mom waved her hand dismissively, as if shooing a fly. Let her stew in her own stink. See how she likes it? Dad put down his paper, his frown deepening. The smell is getting pretty bad. I'll go check. Maybe a mouse died in there, or something. He stood up and started walking toward my room. My spirit heart leaped.
Dad.
Open the door.
Please. Look at me.
I'm right behind the door. Just turn the handle and you'll see that I'm not moving. You'll see my face has already started to turn black. I floated right in front of him, waving my arms frantically, trying to get his attention. His hand closed around the doorknob. Dad's hand trembled as it gripped the brass knob. He turned it. The mechanism clicked, a sound I used to associate with imprisonment, but now signaled the opening of a tomb. The door swung inward. The smell hit him first. It wasn't just the stale odor of a closed room. It was the heavy, sweet sick scent of something that had ceased to be. Dad gagged, covering his nose with his forearm. Audrey, he called out, his voice muffled. I floated right in front of him, eye level. I'm here, Dad.
Look.
I'm right here. He took a step inside. The room was dim, the curtains drawn against the harsh New Year sun. He squinted toward the desk. I saw the moment his brain registered the image and the moment it tried to reject it. I was slumped over the notebook, my face buried in the crook of my elbow. My exposed skin, the back of my neck, my left hand, had turned a mottled, bruised purple. Rigor mortis had come and gone, leaving me limp and unnatural. But the light was still there. On my dead wrist, the bracelet pulsed.
Red, red, red.
Audrey, honey? Dad walked closer, his step slow, like he was approaching a bomb. He reached out and touched my shoulder. He didn't shake me. He didn't pull me up. Because the moment his fingers brushed my t-shirt, he felt the cold. It wasn't the chill of a winter draft. It was the absolute zero of an object that no longer held life. Oh God, he whispered. The newspaper fell from his other hand, scattering across the floor. Oh God, no. What is taking so long? Mom's voice cut through the air from the hallway. If she's playing dead, just drag her out here. Dad spun around, his face drained of all color, his eyes wide and wet. He looked like a child who had broken something irreplaceable. Sarah, he choked out. Sarah, come here. Mom stomped into the room, Mina trailing behind her with a smirk plastered on her face. Honestly, David, if you're going to indulge her theatrics. Mom stopped.
She saw me.
She saw the unnatural angle of my neck. She saw the dark fluids that had begun to pool on the desk. For a second, the world stood still. I watched my mother's face. I waited for the scream, the tears, the regret. Instead, her eyes narrowed. She marched over, grabbed my shoulder, and yanked. Get up, she shrieked. Stop this. Stop this right now. My body, stiff and unyielding, toppled sideways off the chair. I hit the floor with a heavy, wet thud. My head lolled back, eyes half open, staring unseeingly at the ceiling. The whites of my eyes were clouded, the pupils blown wide.
Mina screamed.
It was a high, piercing sound that shattered the tension. She scrambled backward, colliding with the doorframe. Mom froze. Her hand was still raised, ready to strike, but she was staring at her own fingers. They were cold from touching me. She's holding her breath, Mom whispered, her voice trembling with a manic edge. She looked at the bracelet. It was still flashing red.
See?
Look. It's red. The machine says she's lying. She's faking it. The machine doesn't lie. Dad made a sound I had never heard from a human being, a low, animalistic howl. He shoved Mom aside, falling to his knees beside my body. He frantically felt for a pulse on my cold, gray neck. She's dead, Sarah, he roared, looking up at her with a face twisted in horror. She's stone cold. She's been dead for hours. No. Mom shook her head, backing away. No, the bracelet. It's red. If she were dead, she couldn't lie. If she's not lying, it would be green. The machine is perfect. She's doing this to hurt me. She's dead. Dad screamed, grabbing my limp hand. The bracelet flashed faster, sensing the movement.
Zap.
Even in death, the machine shocked me. My dead fingers twitched reflexively. See. Mom pointed, eyes wide and crazy. She moved. She's faking. Dad stared at the bracelet, then at the burn marks on my wrist, layer upon layer of scar tissue. With shaking hands, he tried to unclasp it. It was locked. A safety feature. He scrambled up, ran to the kitchen, and came back with utility shears. Don't you dare, Mom warned, stepping forward. That is a distinct piece of scientific equipment. Dad ignored her. He jammed the shears under the rubber strap and squeezed with both hands. The plastic crunched. The metal snapped. The bracelet fell away from my wrist, clattering onto the hardwood floor. The red light finally went dark. Dad gathered my stiff, smelly, small body into his arms and began to rock back and forth, sobbing into my dirty hair.
I'm sorry, Audrey.
I'm so sorry. I stood next to them, watching. I felt nothing.
No satisfaction. No vindication.
Just a hollow realization. You're crying now, Dad, I thought. But yesterday, you watched TV while I died. The police arrived 10 minutes later. Then the paramedics. Then the coroner. The house became a swarm of blue uniforms and static-filled radios. My body was zipped into a black bag. I tried to follow it, but something tethered me to the house. I was stuck here. Detective Miller was a heavy-set man with tired eyes. He didn't look at the parents with sympathy. He looked around the room. He saw the lock on the outside of the door. He saw the empty closet. He saw the notebook filled with "I am a liar" written thousands of times. He sat Mom and Dad down at the kitchen table. Mina was sitting on the couch, hugging a pillow, her green bracelet glowing softly. She wasn't crying. She was watching the police with calculating eyes. "Mrs. Vane," Miller said, holding up a clear evidence bag. Inside was the broken bracelet. "Can you explain what this is?" "It's a truth monitor," Mom said. She had regained her composure. She sat straight, her hands folded. She was a doctor, after all. She knew how to handle crises. It detects physiological responses associated with deception. Galvanic skin response, pulse rate, pupil dilation. "And why was your 10-year-old daughter wearing it?" "Audrey had a pathology," Mom said smoothly. "Cytologia fantastica. Compulsive lying. We were treating it. It was tough love." "The coroner's preliminary report says she died of a ruptured appendix," Miller said flatly. "That leads to sepsis. It's incredibly painful. It takes days to kill you." "Did she never complain of stomach pain?" "She lied about everything," Mom said, her voice turning icy. "She said she was hungry when she wasn't. She said she was sick when she had a math test. Last night, the bracelet was red. It indicated deception. So, logically, she was not in pain." Miller leaned forward.
Mom.
"Did it occur to you that the machine was measuring distress?" Mom blinked. "Excuse me? These devices," Miller tapped the bag. "They measure stress signals. Pain causes stress. Fear causes stress. If a child is screaming in agony because her organs are bursting, the machine detects a heart rate spike and sweat. It reads red. It reads lie." The silence in the kitchen was deafening. I floated near the ceiling. I understood then. The machine wasn't broken. It was doing exactly what it was designed to do: measure intensity. When Mina tore the dress or stole the money, she felt no guilt. She felt no fear. She was calm. Her heart rate didn't spike. Her palms didn't sweat. To the machine, her apathy was truth. But me? I was terrified. Terrified of Mom, terrified of the pain, terrified of the shocks. My very existence was a panic attack. So I was always red. That's incorrect," Mom stammered, her face pale. "The manual said." "The manual," Miller interrupted, "says this device is a novelty item, not a medical diagnostic tool. You let your daughter die because you trusted a toy over her screams." Dad put his head in his hands. "She begged me," he whispered. "She said, 'Dad, it hurts.' And I told her to wait for the green light." "You have the right to remain silent," Miller said, standing up and pulling out handcuffs. Mom and Dad were taken away for questioning. Child Protective Services arrived for Mina. Because I was a spirit, I could see things no one else could. I saw the energy in the house shifting. Mina was told to pack a bag. A kind-faced social worker named Sarah, ironic, was helping her. "It's going to be okay, honey," the social worker said. "I know this is scary." Mina nodded, wiping a dry eye. "I just miss my sister so much. She was troubled, but I loved her." Her bracelet glowed a steady, beautiful green. I drifted closer. I wanted to scream at her. "Liar. You hated me. You made faces at me while I died." When the social worker went to the bathroom, Mina sat on her bed. She looked at the bracelet on her wrist. Then, she looked at the empty bed across the room, my bed. She smiled. A small, cold quirk of the lips. "Finally," she whispered. "My room." The bracelet stayed green. She truly believed it. She believed she deserved the room. She believed she was the good one. In her mind, her reality was the only truth. She was a sociopath in the making, and the machine was her perfect shield. But then, something happened. I was dead, but I wasn't powerless. The anger I felt, the sheer, white-hot injustice of it all, began to coalesce. I focused all my energy, all the pain of the shocks, all the cold of the last night. I focused on Mina's bracelet. Burn, I thought. Feel what I felt. The lights in the bedroom flickered. The air temperature dropped 10 degrees instantly. Mina shivered, looking around. "Is someone there?" I reached out with invisible fingers and gripped her wrist. I couldn't touch her skin, but I could touch the electronics. I poured my energy into the circuit board. The green light flickered. It turned yellow. Then orange. Mina gasped, shaking her arm.
No, stop.
I'm not lying.
Red.
The bracelet flashed a furious, blinding red.
Ow. Mina hjälped.
The shock mechanism, which I had overcharged with my spiritual energy, didn't just give a static zap. It delivered a high-voltage jolt. Mina screamed, clutching her arm. Get it off. Get it off. The social worker ran back in.
Mina.
What's wrong? It's burning me.
Mina skriker.
The bracelet. It's hurting me. The social worker tried to undo it, but the clasp was jammed, my doing. It says you're lying, sweetie, the social worker said, confused, reading the red light. Calm down. I'm not lying. I hate her. I'm glad she's dead. Mina screamed, the pain forcing the real truth out of her for the first time in her life. I stole the money. I ate the food. I wanted her to die, so I could have the room. The room went silent. The social worker froze, her hands hovering over Mina's wrist. She had heard every word. Mina clapped her hand over her mouth, her eyes wide. The pain stopped, but the damage was done. The bracelet sat on her wrist, glowing a steady, condemning red.
Mina stammered.
The social worker stood up slowly, her face hardening. I think we need to have a talk with the police too, Mina. The months that followed were a blur of legal proceedings. I watched it all from the gallery of the courtroom, an unseen spectator. Mom's defense was diminished capacity and reliance on defective technology. Her lawyer argued she was a victim of a fraudulent product, but the prosecution had the notebook. When the prosecutor held up my crumpled notebook, filled with "I am a liar" written in shaky handwriting, the jury wept. This, the prosecutor said, holding up the book, is not parenting. This is conditioning. You broke this child's mind before you let her body break. Mom took the stand. She looked older, haggard. She wasn't wearing her doctor's coat anymore. She wore a gray cardigan. I only wanted them to be good, she insisted, her voice trembling. Honesty is the most important virtue. The world is full of liars. I wanted to protect them. By electrocuting them? The prosecutor asked. It was a mild stimulus. To create a negative association with deception. Mrs. Vane, the prosecutor said, leaning in. Your daughter died of a burst appendix.
Do you know what the pain scale is for that?
It is significant, Mom whispered. It is blinding. And while she was in blinding pain, your machine shocked her over and over again because her heart rate was high. And you increased the voltage. Why? I thought she was faking. Because you hated her, the prosecutor said.
No.
I loved her. Flash. I was hovering near the witness stand. I focused on the lights in the courtroom. I made them buzz. I saw Dad in the front row. He wasn't looking at Mom. He was looking at his hands. He had pleaded guilty to negligent homicide. He accepted his fate. He wanted to go to jail. He felt it was the only way to pay for the dinner he never brought me. But Mom? She still felt she was right. She still felt she was the scientist, the expert. I loved her, she repeated. The lights in the courtroom blew out. A cold wind swept through the sealed room, scattering papers. In the darkness, I whispered into Mom's ear. Not with a voice, but with a thought. The machine doesn't lie, Mom. When the emergency lights flickered on, Mom was hyperventilating. She was clawing at her own throat. Mom was sentenced to 25 years for aggravated child abuse resulting in death and involuntary manslaughter. Dad got 10 years. Mina was placed in a state facility for reactive attachment disorder and other behavioral issues. Her confession in the bedroom had been inadmissible, but her behavior afterward, the lack of empathy, the violent outbursts, had terrified 2 foster families. She was alone, just like she wanted to be. But the story wasn't over. I wasn't crossing over. I felt lighter, yes. The heavy chains of the liar label were gone. The world knew the truth. But I was still drawn to the prison. To Mom. I haunted her cell. I didn't throw things. I didn't scream. I just made sure she could never, ever lie to herself again. Every night, as she tried to sleep on the thin cot, I would project the sensation of the bracelet onto her wrist. She would wake up gasping, clutching her arm, feeling the phantom burn of an electric shock. She would whisper into the dark. I didn't mean to. I'm a good person.
Zap.
I would send a shiver of cold air down her spine. Lie, I whispered in the rustle of the sheets. I made a mistake, she would whimper.
Zap. Lie.
You didn't make a mistake. You chose your ego over my life. It took 3 years. 3 years of sleepless nights. 3 years of the phantom bracelet burning her skin. One night, in the depths of winter, Mom sat up on her bunk. She looked haggard, her hair gray and thinning. She looked at the empty space in the cell. Audrey, she whispered. I manifested then. Just a shimmering outline in the moonlight. I didn't look like the corpse she left. I looked like I did when I was 7 before the bracelets. I'm here, Mom. She began to weep. Ugly, heaving sobs. I was jealous, she choked out. I was jealous of you. You were so emotional. So free. I wanted to control it. I wanted to break it. I hated that I couldn't understand you. The air in the cell grew still. I killed you, she said. I tortured you, and I killed you. I am a monster. I looked at her wrist. There was no bracelet there, but in the spiritual realm, the red light that had surrounded her aura for years finally faded. It turned a soft, sad blue.
Truth.
She had finally told the truth. Yes, I said. You did. I felt the tether snap. The hook that had kept me bound to the earth, the need for her to believe me, was gone.
She believed me.
She knew what she was. Goodbye, Mom, I said. Audrey, please don't leave me alone in this, she begged, reaching out. But I was already fading. The ceiling of the prison cell dissolved into a sky full of stars. The pain in my stomach was a distant memory. The electric shocks were gone. I saw a light. It wasn't red. It wasn't green. It was a warm, blinding white. I drifted up, leaving the cold, the lies, and the scientific parenting behind. And for the first time since birth, I was just Audrey. Years later, the house was sold. The new owners were a young couple expecting their first child. They were cleaning out the attic when they found it. It had been missed by the police, kicked under a floorboard during the investigation. The crumpled, worn-out notebook. The woman opened it. She saw the thousands of lines. I am a liar. I am a liar. I am a liar. And then, the last entry. The shaky, tear-stained scrawl. Mom, I really do love you. It hurts so much. Why won't you just believe me? Please, Mom, just believe me this one time. The woman cried. She didn't know who Audrey was. She didn't know the story of the bracelets. But she felt the love and the pain in those words. She held the notebook to her chest. I believe you, she whispered to the empty attic. And somewhere, far away, in a place where no machines exist, I heard her. And I smiled.